Hi, this is Pam of Crafty Cordy. Today I'd like to show you a mini album that I made with Cricut mini album cartridge. And I used Stampin' Up! Paper, some buttons that I had in my stash, some ribbon that I had in my stash, and I also used some peon design paper on a couple of the pages in this mini album. The mini album measures 5 by 7. On the front, you will notice that there is the paper in the honeycomb pattern, and then I have placed some buttons at various points on the cover. I really felt that the paper was busy enough as to not do a whole lot more. Then on the side here is the rosette ribbon, and then I have jump rings here that are tied with various ribbons that are throughout the album. Also, I have little tea charms on here. There is a teacup and saucer. There's a teacup. There's a teapot and 2 clocks. And then this is the back of the album. I'm going to go through each page now. On the inside front cover, there is some Stampin' Up! Lace that I had. Then I made a pocket here and stamped it with a graphic 45 stamp that I had. And inside the pocket are 3 4x3 cards with a teacup stamped on them. And then on the back is a vase with flowers stamped on them. On the first page here is an envelope that is cut out from this cartridge. I cut out one of the little honeycomb papers and then put a little flower button on it. And this opens up, and inside here are 3 3x3 cards, and it says Tea Party on it. And then the back of them have little teapots on them, and they fit into this little envelope. On the back of the envelope, I cut out some of the paper, and this says Tea Leaf Choices Sun Cured Japanese Tea, and it's a ½ pound. And this is an antique or vintage tea label. The next page has some baker's twine, and it has a place for a 4x6 photo that fit into the little notches. And then behind that paper where the photo goes, I have 2 tags. They're covered with paper on one side, and they have a teaspoon on the other for journaling or more photos. On the back of this page is some more baker's twine, another place for a 4x6 photo that can fit into the little notches, and then once again there are 2 tags here with teaspoons on them that fit behind this particular photo. And then I just tied a little bit of matching ribbon onto the tags. The next page is an envelope, and it has another one of those tea leaf labels. It has a little button, wood button here, and then I have it closed with a magnet so that it doesn't, the inside cards don't fall out. And they say, "You're just my cup of tea," and on the back is a little decorative place. And these little cards will fit journaling or photos or both. And then that closes up with a magnet. The next page is one of the honeycomb papers, and I've put a couple of the little buttons on it. And then there's like a waterfall that was cut out from this album. And here's a little tag for journaling. And on the back of this page is another little tag for journaling. Then there's a place here for photo, and I just put a little decorative ribbon on here, some little banner strips, and the same on the back of that one. And then this is one of the peon pictures from the paper, and a place for a 3x3 photo. And on the back of that is another one of the peon papers, and I thought it really fit well with the Stampin' Up! Papers. Place for journaling or photo. Here's a place for a 3.5 by 5 photo, little baker twine there. And then on the back of this one is a place for a 3.5 by 5 photo, little ribbon with a button here. And on the next page, a little 2x2 tag Back of that one, another 2x2 tag, and these are half circles in here. Here's a place for a tag for journaling. Another place for a tag. Another one of those beautiful vintage photos with a tea set and the bakery. And here's another dessert with some flowers and a teapot. Next page has a little tea doily with a place for journaling or photos. I love these pictures of the roses. The next is another rose with a tea doily. Next is a place for a 3.5 by 5 inch photo, some baker's twine, and on the other side is the other part of that baker's twine with a place for a 3 by 4 photo. This page has a pocket in it with some ribbon and 2 wooden buttons. And in this pocket, one of the papers had information about tea from ancient newspapers. And so I cut them out and put that information on these tags. And those all tuck back into this pocket. And then on the back of that pocket is a place for another photo or journaling, and this is a pansy from that paper. And then in the inside back cover is another place for a 3.5 by 5 inch photo. I hope you like this mini album as much as I enjoyed making it. And it is made with the Cricut mini album cartridge. Have a great day!